Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Sketch Audio, and you are watching the unscripted video walkthrough of our brand new plugin, Dr. Vibe. Dr. Vibe puts the sound of a classic workflow in your DAW. There is a warm, woozy vinyl source, and there are gritty converters, and finally a muscular Detroit style, we'll say, mix slammer, that all three, I think, work together to make something really special. This is a talking only video. If you want to see like musical demos, then we have some other videos for that. But I'm going to try to drop some tidbits. So buckle up. Let's hop into it. For the vinyl section, we have just a bandwidth control, which is going to roll off your highs, your lows, and add a little warmth, give you a little bit of mid bump. And you can take the frequency spectrum pretty narrow. So there's that. We have noise. It's not white noise. It's a really nice, kind of dark, pleasant noise sound. And of course, we have crackle. And this is real-time synthesized for those that are curious. And we have this, this needle effect, which for this we actually kind of dug into these kind of papers, these journal articles, talking about the geometric distortions that come up when you cut to vinyl and then play it back. The cutting head and the reed head are actually kind of different shapes. And then of course that playback head may be, degraded a bit. So there are some really interesting kind of geometric things that come up. It's a really unique distortion effect. It works better on some material than on others. So I encourage you to check that one out. It can go really, really exaggerated. You can, subtle is often all you need on that. And then there's our pitch variation, how much total wobble is there. And then this wow flutter will set the relative amounts. So if you're all the way to the left, wow is the slow pitch modulations. That would be like due to the actual vinyl record being off center a little bit. And then flutter is the faster modulations. Then we get to the converters. That's where you get that grit, that sparkle, that stardust that people love. You can drive them plus or minus 36 dB. It's kind of fun to actually use, pull it down because that puts your signal closer to the noise floor. And when that comes into the mix slammer, some really, really kind of powerful compressor, some interesting things can happen. You can set the hardware sample rate, and you can set the hardware bit depth. The maximum amount is actually 20 bits. And then we have the 8-bit. The 8-bit setting is mu-law encoded, which actually some of those early converter chips, they did mu-law encoding. It was a way to kind of push down the noise floor a little bit more. And I think it sounds a lot better than just straight 8-bit. So you have 8-bit mu-law encoded for that. You've got 12, of course. And then you have your output trim. And then we have a few like filter options, which can make a really big impact on the sound. The anti-aliasing filter is applied before the sample rate conversion. And the smooth filter is a 6th order Butterworth filter. And it has a relatively low cutoff frequency. That one, as you may know, there's a hardware sampler, rack mount hardware sampler, I believe late 80s that one was. And that's the kind of sound you can expect from that. You have a steep filter, which is another of those kind of late 80s, early 90s. So that one is quite unique. And then the bright filter is a very steep Butterworth filter with a relatively high cutoff. They all have a little bit different sound. And then for your anti-imaging, the anti-imaging filter is applied after that sample rate conversion kind of on the way out of the hardware box, so to speak. And if there's no anti-imaging filter, then you're going to hear those images as that kind of, that stardust, that sparkle that people talk about. And we added this gentle option. It's not really grounded in history or the hardware, but I thought it was kind of unique. It's a really gentle filter just to quiet down those images just a little bit. So the purpose of that would be like, oh, I like having that kind of sparkly sound. I just want it to be a little less. You can use the gentle filter option there. And then you have same. Same would just be the kind of a matched filter on the output, and that's going to cut away all of those images, and it's going to sound a lot more just like a traditional low pass. Okay, and now let's move on to the Mix Slammer. The Mix Slammer is kind of the centerpiece of this plugin. If you're a lo-fi head, you know that there is one compressor that kind of defines the sound, and this is our attempt to make that available to more people, basically. The kind of magic is here with this amount, and man, you can already hear that pulling up on the noise floor, although maybe my post-processing will take that out. But you have that amount, and that's controlling the overall amount of compression. And I'll just say this, we spent a lot of time like analyzing this device, and the transfer curve on this thing is not, it's not like any other compressor. And so it actually really matters how you hit it. And so that's why also you can take your input gain down by 24 dB, or you can drive it really hard, and you're going to hear it pulling and tugging on the sound in different ways based on how you're hitting it. So definitely mess with the gain staging. There's a lot of fun to be had with that. And then you have output trim. You can often boost a few dB on the way out, and it's just a really really powerful muscular sound. And to that end, we added this wet parameter so you can kind of dial in parallel compression really easily, and you have that option. We also expose the envelope attack and release, and that's what those do. Faster attack, you're going to clamp down on those peaks more quickly, and as you pull your release shorter, you're going to hear more aggressive kind of pumping. And the unique thing that we have is this quality control, which as I was I guess what they say, doing the modeling for this thing, I was auditioning a few different envelope followers. One of them kind of straightforward, and another one that was kind of cobbled together, kind of noisy, fuzzy, and I thought it added an interesting kind of grit and kind of warmth, roughness to the sound. So that those kind of came together in this quality control, where you can essentially morph between a clean envelope follower and a gritty, gritty's not the right word, but kind of a noisy, fuzzy, spazzy envelope follower. And I think there's some really interesting space in between here to explore. So those are the primary controls of Dr. Vibe. Be sure to check it out. I'll just go real quick over kind of the general stuff. We have just global bypass up here. We have undo redo. We have A and B settings, so you can switch between two sets of plugin settings. The arrow will copy from the active to the non-active. We have settings, and there is this auto gain. If you enable that, you can drive the converters without having to go down and pull back the output. And then we have our presets on the left side. We got save and import. Your user presets will be synced across your Apple devices. So if you like making music on different platforms, that will work well for you. Bunch of cool factory presets designed by myself and the great Corey Loftus, the artist Soul Lift. It's a Portland-based artist, a real good friend of mine. Really big part of our creative process here at Sketch Audio. You could think of him as the fifth Beatle, honestly. Shout out to Corey. Quality modes. We're doing this thing because people like nice things. You can have nicer audio quality, and I guess what that is you can enable oversampling. So if you want to do that, you can kick on high quality mode, and that will enable oversampling. We use 4x oversampling. Seems to be a good trade-off in terms of processing versus actual reduction of that aliasing. So use your ears on that. But we're really trying to offer people those features that they want. You have output trim, and you have this level match button, which will match the input and the output perceived loudness. And you have wet, global dry wet, which you do have to be careful. Dr. Vibe, even though everything is internally like latency adjusted, there's like the wobble, for example, is a delay-based effect. So if you pull back to like 50% wet, you're going to hear some kind of wild phasing issues. But it is there, and it can be used well. Just keep that in mind. The sample rate converter also causes a little bit of kind of phase issues, but I think that's kind of just the nature of that effect. I did some experimenting with other sample rate converters, and I was noting similar things when you have them, kind of running parallel. So just with that disclaimer, okay. But that's Dr. Vibe. Thanks so much for checking it out at $750 during launch. Regular price $14.99. Those are US dollar prices. You can pick these things up on the Apple App Store, on your phone, on your iPad, on your Mac. Buy it once, use it everywhere. Okay? No more hassle with licenses. Okay? You just click that cloud icon. Okay? Thanks, guys. Have a great day making music.